Billy Weaver was a 17-year-old businessman traveling. He was obligated to stay in the small village of Bath from dusk to dawn. He was looking for a hotel. He didn't have a great deal of money, so he was out for a cheap stay. As he was strolling through the streets, he happened upon a bed and breakfast, which he found himself to be oddly attracted to.
Please come in.
I saw the sign on the window.
Yes, I know.
I was wondering about the room.
It's all ready for you, my dear.
I was on my way to the Bell and Dragon, but the sign on your window just happened to catch my eye.
My dear boy, why won't you come in out of the cold?
How much do you charge?
£10, including breakfast.
Oh, fine. I would very much like to stay here.
I knew you would. Do come in.
It was fantastically cheap. Less than half Billy had expected.
We have it all to ourselves, my dear. It's not very often that I get a visitor in my little nest.
Ah, but I should have thought that you would have been swamped with applicants.
Oh, I am, my dear. Of course I am. It's just that I get to the teeny bit choosy in particular, if you know what I mean.
Ha, yes.
But I'm always ready. Everything is always ready, day and night, just in the off chance of an acceptable young gentleman comes. It is such a pleasure, such a very great pleasure of meeting a young gentleman that is just exactly right. Like you. This floor is all mine.
Oh, I see.
And this one is all yours.
Nice.
Here's your room. Hope you like it. This morning sun comes right through the window. Mr. Perkins, is it?
No, it's Weaver.
Oh. There's a hot water bottle in the bed to warm you up during the night. There's nothing better than a warm bed. And if you feel chilly, there's a thermostat. It's right there.
Oh, nice. Thank you. Thank you ever so much.
I was so worried you might not show up.
That's all right. You mustn't worry about me.
And did you get to eat anything before you came?
I'm not a bit hungry, thank you. I think I'll just go to sleep because tomorrow I have to get up early in the morning and report to the office.
Fine, I'll leave you to it then.
Alright.
Oh, but before you go to bed, would you be kind enough to go into the sitting room in the ground floor to sign in the guest book? Everyone has to do it because it's the law of the land. And we don't want to go breaking any laws now, do we?
Sure. Billy wasn't bothered by the landlady being slightly crazy. After all, she was not only harmless, but she was also quite obviously a kind and generous soul. He guessed that she had probably lost a son in the war, or something like that, and never got over it. There were only two other entries. It was Christopher Mullan from Cardiff and Gregory W. Temple from Bristol. Those names seemed familiar to him, but he couldn't recall where he had heard those names before. He couldn't figure if either was a boy at school Or one of his sister's numerous young men, perhaps. A friend of his father's? No, he didn't think so.
Gregory Temple and Christopher Mulholland?
Such charming young boys.
They sound so familiar.
They do? How interesting.
I'm almost positive I've heard those names somewhere. Isn't that queer? Maybe it was in the newspaper? They weren't famous in any way, were they? I mean, famous cricketers or footballers or something like that?
Famous? No, I don't think they were famous. But they both were really handsome. I can promise you that. They were young and tall and handsome, just like you, my dear.
But look here. The last entry is nearly 2 years old.
Is it?
Yes, indeed, and Christopher Mullins is nearly a year before that. More than 3 years ago.
Dear me, I would have never thought it. How time just fly away from us all, doesn't it, Mr. Wilkins?
It's Mr. Weaver. W-E-A-V-E-R.
Of course it is. I do apologize. How silly of me. In one ear, out the other. That's me, Mr. Weaver.
Both of these names, Mulholland and Temple, I not only seem to remember them separately, so to speak, but somehow or other in some peculiar way. They both appear to be sort of connected together as well. As though they were both famous for the same sort of thing, like Dempsey and Tooney or Churchill and Roosevelt, for example.
How amusing. Have a cup of tea before you go to bed.
You really shouldn't bother, I didn't mean you to do anything like that. I'm almost positive it was in the newspapers I saw them. I'll think of it in a second. I'm sure I will. Now wait a minute. Wait just a minute. Mulholland, Christopher Mulholland. Wasn't that the name of the Eton schoolboy who was on a walking tour through the West Country and then all of a sudden...
Milk and sugar?
Milk first and a spoonful of sugar.
Ethan schoolboy? Oh no, my dear. That can't possibly be right, because my Mr. Mulholland was certainly not a heathen schoolboy when he came to me. He was a Cambridge undergraduate.
Oh, really?
Your tea's ready for you now. Let's go sit on the sofa.
All right.
There you are.
Thank you.
How nice and cozy this is.
Billy thought she smelled funny, like pickled walnuts, or new leather. Or was it like hospital corridors?
Oh, Mr. Mulholland was a great one for his tea. Never in my life have I seen anyone drink as much tea as him, my dear. Sweet Mr. Mulholland.
I suppose he left fairly recently.
Left? My dear boy, he never left. He's still here. Mr. Temple is also here. They're on the 3rd floor. How old are you, dear?
I'm 17.
17? Oh, it's the perfect age. Mr. Mulholland was also 17, but I think he was a trifle shorter than you are. In fact, I'm sure he was. And his teeth weren't quite as white as you. You have beautiful teeth, Mr. Weaver. Did you know that?
Oh, they're not as good as they look. They've simply got masses of fillings in them at the back.
Mr. Temple, of course, was a little older. He actually was 28. And yet I would have never guessed it if he hadn't told me. Never in my whole life. There wasn't a blemish on his body.
A what?
His skin was like a baby's.
That parrot, you know something? It had me completely fooled the first time I saw it through the window from the street. I could have sworn it was alive.
Alas, no longer.
It's most terribly clever the way it's been done. It doesn't look dead at all. Who did it?
I did.
You did?
Of course.
Good gracious me. How absolutely fascinating. It must be terribly difficult to do something like that.
Not in the least. I used to follow my little pets myself when they passed away. Will you take another cup of tea?
No thank you.
Billy thought the tea tasted like almonds, but he didn't care about it.
You did sign in the kiss book, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
That's good, because later on, if I happen to forget what you were called, then I can always come down here and look it up. I still do that almost every day with Mr. Mulholland and Mr.
Temple. Gregory Temple. Excuse my asking, but has there been any other guests than them in the last 2 or 3 years?
No, my dear. Just you.
Ow! I saw the sign on the window. Fuck! I saw the sign on the window to stay here.
I knew you would. Do come in.
I was on my way to the bell.
Do come in.
But I would have thought not.
Go! Oh, what? Warm bed to warm you up in the night. Hope you like it, Mr. Wheeler. Was it? Mr. Wheeler?
As in ball no. Early in the morning, go to sleep and
J'ai respiré.
I think I'll just go to sleep because I have just go to I put them all set because I have to get up in tomorrow in the morning.
Sur pas comment?
Maybe it was in the news. They weren't famous or that's